All right. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another show. We're so happy to have you. Welcome to another episode of V Bailey's Ask a Black Woman, presented to you by the HBCU Lounge Network. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And we have three beautiful ladies here today that became good friends of mine. Miss Queen, she's my more recent, new friend for the last couple of years. And the other two young ladies, Frances and Candice, have been my friends for a long time. We go back, we're all from the same city, Fresno. So I got to represent every once in a while. But welcome, everyone. And so tonight's episode is going to be about the politics of sisterhood. And so that basically is talking about Black women's relationships with other Black women. And we wanted to dive into this title. Some people say it's stirring the pot. But apparently it's something that we need to talk about. And so that's what we're doing. So I want to go ahead and introduce the ladies here. Today we have recurring guest with us, Miss Queen Afton. And so Queen, we would like to hear a little bit about you for those people who don't know you or haven't seen you before. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, sure. Hey, everybody. I am Queen Afton Williams. I have lots of things that I do, and I'm always pleased to be on any platform that would allow me to speak my truth. I am the luxury experience lead at Atlanta Luxury Bags. I am the reigning Miss Georgia Royalty International. I am the founder of Crown Up International, which is a nonprofit for young ladies and young men ages 8 to 18 years of age. And I am the creator of Royalist Management, where we handle all of your administration and organization needs.
Nice. Okay, snaps. Okay, and next we have Miss Frances, and she's actually a pageant girl as well, so a pageant woman. So let's hear a little bit about you, Miss Frances, if you can tell people about you.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm happy to be here. My name is Frances, and I have 5 pageant titles. I love to coach, I love to mentor, it's kind of my thing. Let's see, right now I'm an AmeriCorps volunteer here in my city, but my main job is housewife. That's what I enjoy doing. That was my dream job, but I do love volunteering in the meantime. And I've retired the crown so far since I've been married, but maybe I'll give it one last go with a new title later on.
Okay. Collect these crowns. Sorry. All right. And last but not least, we have Miss Candice Sheree. Welcome. She's like, these two are like sisters. So let's hear a little bit about you.
We really are sisters. Well, I am Candice, and currently I'm a mother of 2, so my hands are definitely full. And professionally, I've kind of retired a little bit, and once my children grow up, I'm going to get right back into it as a full-time photographer. But for now, I am a full-on mother and wife, and that's where I'm at. But any opportunity I can get to shed light on topics, especially topics that concern our community, I am more than happy and humbled to weigh in and be able to contribute any value to the conversation. So thank you for having me.
Of course. I just wanted to make sure we had real women, having this conversation, because it is something that, is affecting us. And a lot of the times when you hear different conversations pertaining to, Black women, it's just like, okay, well, let us get on that, since we are them, like, let us speak for ourselves. And but at the same time, being open so that you can learn. And there may be certain things that we need to work on and not be aware of. And so with this title, as far as Black women's relationships with other Black women, it came up in a conversation with Miss Frances, actually, as I was thinking about different topics that in different areas that affects us as women. And then also I had heard a couple of different conversations or perspectives on Black women, that Black women don't really have good relationships with other Black women, and that we don't support each other, and that some of them don't even like their own daughters. And so I thought that that was pretty deep. I'm like, okay, like where is all this coming from? But had to look at it to be, honest, to see, like, is that true? Like, have I seen that, day to day? And for me, as I'm, oh Lord, I said I'm working these latches. For me, on a day-to-day, basis, as far as my relationships with women, I mean, I love people and I love women, I love my people, and I really try to start different conversations so that we can have a better understanding of each other, improve those relationships. But I feel like I have a lot of great relationships with other women, Black women, and other women outside of our ethnic group. But when I heard people discuss more of what they've gone through, I'm like, oh, okay, so are they all great? And if they're great, like, are some of them great because I go the extra mile in my relationships? Always kind of pretty much, as my little sister says, she says, everywhere you go, it's an experience. You can't just order your sandwich and leave. She's like, it's a whole experience with the person.
That's
and I'm like,
definitely a good thing.
I'm like, I guess I do that, right? So for me, I had to ask myself, like, if I'm giving 150% and I have, friendships or, people in my life and they're giving 50, would I notice it because I'm so extra, right? And so I'm like, okay, well, let's take a look at that and be accountable if that is the situation, because those relationships are important. So I wanted to ask you ladies, what, has been your experience with, other Black women? Some women I know, they're like, I don't really have that many friends, Black women that are my friends. Sometimes it's like, you might come from a different, you may have a free spirit and some people may not be open to that, or you may come from California, like I get all the time. You're like, oh, she's such a Valley girl. And then it's just like, okay, so you don't like me because I'm from California? Like, that's weird, yeah. So what's been you all's experience? Queen, I'll let you go ahead and take this first.
Sure. Okay, so as we both heard with Francis and I'm a pageant girl. I'm a 12-time pageant winner, and when people get into pageantry, they transform into some kind of other folks who you have to then deal with, Black or otherwise. But there are some ladies who matriculate through the pageant system with you, and you compete with them all the time. You know who they are. You start to know who their husbands are, and blah, blah, blah. But in prepping for today, I realized I don't have a best friend. And I think I wasted my best frienddom on someone who I gave 12 years to. I thought that was my best friend, but she apparently was not. I was supposed to be married back in 2014, and she was not very supportive during that time. And I guess, the world is now speaking about red flags so heavily, and I guess maybe I should have saw the red flags there when she was from Atlanta trying to talk with a New Orleans accent and things of that nature. And so when I was supposed to marry, and then the wedding was called off and all. But long story short, the iPad that I had, if for anybody who uses, I'm a droid all day, but I do have this nice iPad. If you click a certain button, it lets your text messages come to the iPad. And I was able to see all of his text messages, and the two of them, my ex-fiance and my best friend, were having an exchange, calling me delusional and all kinds of other things together as units, speaking about me. And I, of course, chimed in, and I was like, you guys, I'm reading everything that you're saying, and then it was said to me from her lips or from her writing, because, people become keyboard thugs, honey. She said, now you know how I really feel. Okay. So I
Wow.
think that may have tarnished my best friend applications from that point. I am a wonderful friend. I do desire to have a best friend, but I think when your best friend usually comes from years. So I think the 12 years that I may have wasted investing time and love and advice and nights and mornings and all of those things into her prevented me from having this cool best friend that I could have had in my 30s now. So I believe that affects me in some way. But other than that, I'm team black women all day. Listen, I love to see a good black girl out with her hair wrapped and her edges slick, and I be yes, sis, those edges. She be like,
Yeah.
I'm always about giving a good pom pom out, the champion or cheerlead
Yeah.
another black woman, and it usually softens the blow of their day and the blow of me and her getting some type of camaraderie. And I say that because people say I have resting face, if you will. So,
Right.
I'm always getting caught with guys saying, well, you should smile. Don't tell me smile. This is my regular face. Let me be. And so I think sometimes it
It's my
opens
face.
a door. Yeah, when you can be complimentary or
Yeah.
you can give off whatever aura and or energy that allows a black woman or a woman in general just to be able to approach you.
Mm. Yeah, see, yeah, no, totally. I agree with you on that. Kay mentioned in the comments that it's never too late, to make a best friend, and that is very true. Um, and also, the fact that, having different friends in your life, sometimes you gravitate to different, people. Sometimes they're older. For me, for the most part, I've always like gravitated to older women, and like even when I was a little girl, I was all in the grown folks' business. I was like, this is more interesting. It's way more interesting than what these kids are doing. Like, like I'm trying to be grown, But so different things for different people. But that's so interesting that you said that though, Queen, because I would not guess that, because I do see you with your girls and you are, very uplifting to other women, so it's just kind of like, what? But this is why we're talking about it. This is why we're having this conversation, because things don't always, aren't always what they appear to be. So Francis, let's hear from you. What has been your experience?
You know, Queen made me think about quite a lot that she said, including someone in the comments who said um, that their best friend is 10 years their senior. That's kind of my story too, where, my circle is pretty small.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want it to be that way initially, but it's where it needs to be at this time in my life. And I realize the Black women that I am close to are about 10 years plus my senior. Um, I don't know why that is. Maybe we just have more in common. The Black women who feed my soul tend to be a lot older than me. Um, my experience with Black women around my age is a very mixed bag because, you know, after high school and you're out in the world and you're in your early 20s and stuff, you're just learning at that point, like how to have actual adult relationships for in it. It's not just like in a childhood context where you guys are going to school and you spend time together. There's lots of hours in that relationship accumulated, but as an adult, it's harder because you have to be related in some way. Maybe you're in the same organization or you live closer. But with everyone so spread out around the country, around the world, it's a lot harder to maintain those bonds. Um, and so there's been a lot of mistakes on my part as a friend and a lot of room for growth there. But ultimately, I don't have many Black women friends around my age group. I can count maybe a couple. Um, but
Mm.
also, it just depends on where are we in our lives and the expectations. Like I have one really good friend who I love, and we went to high school together. So she knows me in that context. And she's been able to keep me with her in that way and then still understand, like, you're my day one, but like my spouse is more important. So, like, you know what I mean? So, like, being able to have those friendships that you can grow with, I think is really important. And that's kind of where I am now, is like any relationships that I do have in the future with friends, of course, I want them around, but I need them to understand, like, it's a different dynamic. I can't just hop up and go out to eat. Like, I need to plan versus spur of the moment, which is where I used to be years ago. So,
Right.
to answer the question, overall, my experience has been uplifting and encouraging with Black women, and they've been there for me when I needed them, and vice versa. But then it's also on the other end of the spectrum where I wish I never met that person, because they really broke me in a way that, like, only you think someone in a committed relationship would do that to you. And it's like, ooh. So I love what Queen said about, like, the kind of heartbreak that you go through, because it is. I would say even deeper sometimes, But yeah, that's been my experience.
Oh, thank you, Dawn. Or it's okay, Lyric. Thank you. Yeah, that's very interesting. The point that you both brought up, you and Queen, about it being heartbreaking, and I guess I don't know. I don't know if our relationships are closer, with those women because, I don't know, they represent different things, right? With your friendship. So, but we'll discuss that a little bit later. Wanted to go ahead and hear from Miss Candice, Sheree, on your relationships.
My
What's been your
experience,
experience?
it's been like every experience across the board. As I'm hearing you guys speak, I'm like kind of going through my head, like, okay, what is something that's even worth mentioning, right? And I kind of came to this epiphany that, because like Francis, in this time in my life, I don't have very many Black friends. I don't know why that is. But thinking back to when I was in my early 20s, there was a situation where a group of us were all Black. We go to Vegas. I'm kind of the oldest one out of the group. I've been to Vegas plenty of times, and I'm like showing them the ropes and telling them the best clubs to get in, da 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 da. And my friend is going to watch this. She's going to know exactly what I'm talking about because she's a sister now. But I think with Black women, we're all alpha women. And we butt heads because we all want to take the lead, because naturally that's how we're built. And we can kind of see that in our relationships as well. So for me, you already know my personality, and especially if I'm like the oldest in the group, I'm going to assume that position, not out of ego, not out of like, I need to be the leader, I'm the boss, because now I'm like a very passive role. I let all my friends do all the planning. But when I was younger, I was around younger girls, and I remember that was just an issue, right? They resented me because everything I told them that was going to happen happened. I was like, well, you're not going to like that club. That club is a rock club. You want to go, it was just like the most petty things that ended up breaking our relationship. And I feel like sometimes it's over the most petty situations that break like a sisterhood, right? I never had these issues with like my white friends or my Hispanic friends. Like, it's only with my Black girlfriends. But again, they all came to the realization that's not where I was operating from, and we're like sisters now. But that was a situation, and I think about it, and I think a lot of the time we can get very petty with one another. But I wanted to ask Queen, did you feel before that happened, before you found that out between your best friend and your fiance, did you feel any weird energy from this person? Because now I'm sensitive to energy. I wasn't sensitive to energy before. I would block it out. So did you feel that before it happened?
I think I said this the other day on another podcast situation. There's a rap that Eve does, and it says, "Love is blind, and it'll take over your mind. What you think is love is truly not. you need to elevate and find, right? So I don't think love is blind because God is love, but I do think we tend to get blinded when we love somebody to a certain capacity. And so while there may have been red flags like pew, 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 somewhere, I think my heart wanted to defend the person that she was because of me knowing her entire history. And that's how I felt like we had this best friendship, you know. And so I think that other people, like my mom, for example,
Mom's
never
always
liked her. Yeah, my mom never liked her. But she began to show little signs of stuff one side. Because see, here's the thing sometimes with ladies, it's good when we're on the same level, right? But when we start to go to another level, it's like, oh, I'm not gonna really support you in that. I don't like this or like that. And that's only with some women. Some women are just so awesome. I have some really amazing women, black women in my life, but again, none of them are my best friends. But what I did start to notice again was the trying to do the New Orleans accent, the familiarity with my other groups of friends, because I don't know if y'all mixed friends or not, but I know that's another topic or moment for another time. But
I'm in business for mixing friends. That's all. I
Huh?
make
You know, yeah, I'm fine with that too, but maybe it's a California thing. Someone told
yeah,
me
no,
like,
some people don't, you know, they have the church friends, the work friends, the school friends, the people they knew for a long time friends, and they don't place them together. But I'm just gonna do it. Y'all all know me. If you don't get along with Shasha Wanetta, I mean, that's on you. But look at my mom. Hey, mom. But with that being said, you know, so I didn't notice it per se, or I didn't accept it. Let me say that. And then when everything went down, well, when I got proposed to, I was like, okay, girl, you're not participating in nothing. You're not really helping me. You know, you're seeming on the fence. But it was my mind, like, some people don't know how to handle this part, getting married, but I'm doing all the excuses for her when I should have been just like, what is your problem, son? You know? And so that I didn't, get the real red flaggedness until I got really close to the wedding day, and then I really felt that big energy shift. And as you said, Candice, now my discernment is like on bing bang boom. It's really high. It's beyond what I could ask or think. I look at people and I be like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you're not fooling with you. They say a couple of words and I'm like, nope.
Mm-hmm.
Or they say something, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be my person.
Yes.
I already know. We're gonna get down. And as V was saying, like, I know that I'm a big personality. So when somebody is unable to handle it or whatever it's gonna be, I'm just like, I'll be kind of minimalist with this person, but they won't be able to hang around me. I think I've been on another moment with V before where I say I deal with people in percentages. You know, there's some people who are gonna get my 100, some people are gonna get my 98, some people are gonna get 17. But I know how to distribute my energy and my focus accordingly so that I don't get drained out, burned, or not considered.
that's good to know how to do that. That really is.
That's kind of genius, actually.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm like, I need to learn how to do that.
I'm gonna implement that. Like,
because it can happen.
You know, yeah.
Once you learn yourself, like me, I'm a 100%er. So let's just say, I believe that was you, Candice, talking about volunteerism. If I volunteer for something, I'm gonna do it like they paying me. You know, that's how I do. If I'm your friend, somebody talk about you, I'm gonna be like, what was said? You know, if you are. What was that? My birthday, I did a little dance party or whatever, and people kept on chiming in. And then, I had a host with me, and she was like, "How do you know Queen?" And they were all like, "She helped me with my wedding." And I think like 4 people said that. I was like, "Oh my God, what in the wedding coordinator is going on here?" You know. But I think it's just because I want to see all of their stuff be great. When balls are getting dropped, I can't look at a ball getting dropped and be like, "Oh, there's the ball." No, I gotta be like, "Hey, let me help you carry it and do it." So I know that I'm 100%. But if I know that you are only gonna give me 20%, you ain't gonna be around me, love me like that. What's happening, Duke? Then I'm just like, you're gonna get my 30%, like you, but I can't give you all of that because you're gonna take from me. You're gonna drain me, and you're not gonna. Because I do something in my life like, who wants an empty pitcher, right? If I'm pouring and pouring, who wants to? You go in the refrigerator, honey. You try to get that empty pitcher out. You're gonna be so mad when you try to pour that thing, and none of the juice that you thought that was gonna be there. You thought the juice. You thought about this juice all day, huh? And then you get to that refrigerator, and that juice ain't there. You gonna be mad. So that is why I make it my business not to be an empty pitcher. We need to complement each other. You pour into me, I pour into you, and we stay full.
Right. No, that's fascinating.
Did I just say that, Yvonne? I said don't be an empty cup or something like that. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Yep. You did. And it's so true. But I was just, as I was listening, I'm like, it's crazy because all these, thoughts come to your mind, like your experiences. But I used to have a friend, we're not friends anymore, but I used to have a friend that, I've been friends with for years, since like childhood. And she said something to me. And because I guess I was just oblivious to it, I didn't really think about it. But if I would have seen, I guess, a red flag there. And it's so funny because the mamas be knowing, like moms always know when they meet your friends, if they don't like them, there is something off, there is something off. But, of course, we hard-headed. We're like, no, I want to hang out with her, blah, blah, blah. And so anyways, fast forward to adulthood. My ex-friend, she says, one thing that I admire about you is that you could be having a bad day, and no matter how bad your day is, if someone shares with you something good that happened to them, you get excited like it's happening to you, right? And so I was just like, I'm not thinking anything of it because that's just me, but I didn't. It kind of made me think later when we weren't friends that she wasn't like that. And the reason that she was so astonished, and admired it so much is because she was like, I could never be that way. Like, how does she do that? And it's just so weird because it really does give me a joy to see other people doing. I'd be like, what, girl, you killing it, and if it's something that I really want and I haven't got it yet, I'd be like, girl, the blessings, they hanging out, it's in the neighborhood. So, I know mine is coming, but I'm super excited for them because I don't know. I like to see people win. And it's like Christmas or something, to me, opening up a gift, seeing people win, and especially when they're really good people. I think everybody has a hard time when it's a terrible person and it seems like good stuff is always happening to them. You're like, what?
Again?
They're like, oh, you're horrible, but especially, but just seeing people win and good things happening in their life, being able to turn around, to me, I'm so passionate about that. So it's just, naturally, if I see that going on and I get to experience or be a part of, witnessing it, it's just like, oh, this is dope, So it's just funny when you had mentioned that, because all of that I resonated with, yeah, I've experienced that too, and as you get older and you learn how to navigate and to set up your boundaries, then you're like, okay, you're not even really my friend. You've been my frenemy for the last 15 years. And I'm sitting here invested into you. And the whole time you praying that, I don't win. Or having those friends, I'll give an example of having those friends. And I know all of you guys, or, most of you guys out there even watching, have had this experience or a friend like this, where you couldn't share your good news until they had something good going on with them. I think, Queen had mentioned something about that, it's cool when everybody's on the same level, but once you start, really making your stride and stuff like that, and that friend is looking like, hating.
I don't even share good news with nobody.
Oh no. See? And that's
nobody.
Coming from a place.
Nobody.
That is coming from a place because it's just so sad that other people cannot,
But you know what? It's not so much that I don't share because I think they're going to be jealous. It's more so I don't share because I feel like so many people are struggling, and I've just never been that type of person that's like, oh, look what's happening to me. I don't know. I formed these weird relationships with people where I'm the cheerleader and only like a few people are like my cheerleader, if that makes any sense. So like I'm always, everyone calls me the first time. Like anything that happens good, I'm the first one they call because they know out of anyone, it's going to be me that's like super happy, always has something to contribute, help in any kind of way. But I don't have that type with them or anybody else. It's weird.
But that's the thing, Candice. And as we dive into this and really learn, going through life and learning about ourselves and working on ourselves, we realize that people hype you up to be selfless. People hype you up to just be there for them, and then they not be there for you. And so it kind of is concerning because I'm similar, to you in that aspect. But then when you turn around, you really need someone, then you don't have anyone. And that's the time that you're really going to need them most, because
that's the tricky thing. I have no problem coming to them when things are not good.
Oh, but just
it's
not
weird.
sharing stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
so Candice, who is your good things outlet?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Wow.
It's weird. Like maybe one. I don't want to say nobody. I have one, but it's still through a filter.
But that's coming from somewhere because you're not allowing yourself. Like I'm guilty of that and realize that this year is that you think because you're so loving, to people that you are letting them in and that you're just swallowing them up with your love and all that good stuff, but you're not really letting them get close to you. Like you don't let them really in. And so when you have some parts of you that's closed off, even though you feel like you're giving love, you're not allowing yourself to receive,
No, that's exactly right. I remember a couple of years ago, I went to like a chakra reading lady. She was like at the farmer's market and she was like, "Oh, what your chakras?" And she told me my heart chakra was off. And I'm like, how's my heart chakra off? Like, I love everybody. And she's like, no, it's not just about giving love. It's about receiving love. And I was like, oh my God, that is so true. Like, I don't know how to receive love. Like, it's weird.
Yeah, I think you just don't want people to feel bad.
Facts, for sure.
That's not always the case. See, cheerleaders need other cheerleaders, right? Whenever you're forming a pyramid and you're a cheerleader, if you didn't have that bottom, okay, if you don't have that support system, you're gonna fall, sis. So cheerleaders, you need other cheerleaders. It's not just about the pom-poms, but it is also about the support. Nobody wants to see one cheerleader on the field. We need to see a group, we need to see a team, and that's what makes the formation look immaculate. So please, like, girl, you need me to be your cheerleader. I get happy about people's stuff. I
know it's the best feeling, but it's also
I know you just don't want people to feel bad, but just count on that
people like
won't always feel bad per se. Who? Black Marvel.
No, for sure. I know most people have a good heart. I don't know. It's interesting. Like I wouldn't go to like one of my single friends and be like, oh my God, this is what my husband did for me. I don't know. You're married, Francis. Do you find it hard to talk to like your single friends if your husband does something really sweet for you? Do you feel like it's boasting? Do you feel like, I don't know.
I love to share, but to an extent. But when it comes to like my marriage, I don't share hardly anything unless it's with family. So I've always been that way. We haven't been married for very long, so I can't say that I've done this for years, but in the almost 2 years that we have been married, things that are very, very special to me, I share with the people that I know will appreciate it because I'm very sensitive. It will hurt me if someone doesn't respond in a way that I feel is appropriate. And so that's just the way I've learned to be across the board. I was just telling Yvonne, like, don't ask questions you don't want answers to, but also don't give energy that may not be reciprocated. And so it's the same thing with any good news. I'm a sharer when it comes to like a certain group of people. Otherwise, no one knows what's going on with me. So they're like, get a social media, get a Facebook. I'm like, no, you can text me, you can call me if you want to know. But in terms of like good stuff that me and my husband are doing or anniversary or whatever, it's literally just family and close friends I talk.
And then too, I think that in a sense of the way that you move though, Francis, is you allow the people who because you're good with your boundaries, and you allow the people who really want to know and really care about you to ask and for them to put in that effort before you give information. And so it's just all these different, all these different, oh, I thought Queen was I thought Queen was going to say something. I just seen a finger. But it's just all these different ways to kind of navigate, your relationships, but you're doing that based on the relationships and experiences that you've had, along the way, coming up. And so, so I wanted to there was a couple of things I want to say, but I'll end up going back to that. But you guys see how interesting it is and how these relationships with your sister circle and other women and how those relationships are and how they can impact you, how it can affect you in your relationships with a man, just because there are certain areas where you might get used to being closed off. And then you're not able to really open up and receive, as we're talking about, in other experiences, or other relationships. And so it's very interesting just listening to what all is being said. But I had a few questions to kind of, as reflect, to reflect on and to ask ourselves about, do we consider these things in our relationships? Are we fully present? And you all have them, and I'm just going to read them for, the audience so that they can, reflect on this for themselves. So in your relationships, are you being present? Are you being intentional about your, relationships? But ask yourself this: what is the goal in the relationship for me and for us? Are we considering that? Are you having intentional friendships? Is that something that you even think about? Are you just kind of connecting and attaching yourself to different people? Am I being responsible with the energy that I bring into spaces and relationships? Now that one, I feel like that needs to be on the forefront of our minds, like all the time, to kind of keep yourself, in check, because sometimes you can be all over the place and maybe not be that great of a friend, because you may be like, okay, I'm projecting, or I got a bunch of stuff going on, and so I'm reacting all over the place. And then last but not least, am I experiencing authenticity in this dynamic? So in those relationships, is it real? You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like with that, thank you, for this, Francis. I feel like with that, that's something that we need to
we lost Queen.
Sure.
Oh, there she is. Sorry.
With that, I feel like we should, be considering that about the authenticity. I lost my train of thought a little bit when we lost Queen. I'm like, wait, but we should be considering, if we're having authentic, real relationships, because a lot of times what you hear is people say, well, I've been friends with her since kindergarten. Okay, you've been friends with her since kindergarten, but has she been toxic all these years? You're well into your 30s. Has she been toxic? Like, has there been a lot of pain that you feel in that relationship and you're holding on to this person because you won't let them go? You're saying, oh, it's we have so much time. It's like, yeah, you're hanging on to the time that in a relationship that's not serving you. So we should, be aware, and be intentional, so that we can not have these long relationships that are harming you, along the way, and dating you, to an extent that you don't trust to have other relationships with other people. And so I don't know. So with those questions, have you guys ever thought about those kind of things when you're, starting friendships or along the way in the beginning of the friendship? Like, just considering like, okay, is this going to be, a friendship or a relationship that really feeds, my spirit? Like, am I trying to be that type of friend, to them, the friend that I want? Am I doing that? Am I giving that? So anyone can take that.
I think at this point, anyone in our lives probably we want in our lives, and they're kind of worthy to be in our lives. I think when we're younger, we're kind of just friends because we go to school with them, or they're neighbors, or our parents were friends, and so we kind of grew up together. But I think now for me, everyone in my life, like I want them in my life. Every friend that I have, I consider them like family. So it's different. And as far as like the energy, like I know my friends so well, and I'm so thankful that they know me so well that when our energy's off, they call it, they know it, and they know how to, we know how to work with one another. Like I'm the friend that's going to be there through thick and thin, that's going to drive 3 hours to pick you up. Like everyone knows I'm the friend that's going to cry with you. I have another friend who I'm not going to call her if I need something, but if I want to laugh or if we want to be destructive, we can go and be destructive. But I still consider her just as close to me, like a sister, that I would, someone that's like a mother figure to my kids, like a second mother to my kids. So each of my friends definitely have different roles in my life, but they're all equally like important. And I feel like there's like a sisterhood there.
Yeah. Queen, looks like you had some to say.
Going back to kind of what you were saying, V, I think sometimes history gets in the way. Just because you've known Janice, forever, quote unquote, doesn't mean that Janice won't change. Humans have the capability to change, sometimes for the best, sometimes for the horrible. And you have to be willing to accept what happens with both. I mean, honestly, I was just in a situation with somebody I consider family who had been knowing me since I was 5 years old, turned on me, and I was like, who is this? You don't know, but I had to eat that and swallow that pill that, oh, you've turned into a toxic, petty person, and that's not really allowed in my space. It doesn't coincide with my human existence. That's what I've been telling people lately. What you're doing doesn't coincide with my human existence. And so that they can go about their day and about their way. Because I don't have to, I'm at an age where I don't have to deal with you, I used to be very much so a heart get in the way person, but now I'm very much so, okay. Yeah. Like, what do you need? What do you want? Why are you here? You don't have to be. Have a great life. I can do that. I used to hold on to people, because I just felt like there's good in folks, and I wanted to be able to pull that out of them. But I don't know if it's Maya Angelou, whoever said it. People say when people show you themselves, then believe them. I think that was Maya. But I don't always believe that, because people again have the propensity to change either way. They could change and be this wonderful person, and you're like, wow, you really made a difference in a change and a renewal. Or they could change and get influenced by some other friends or folks. But that, to your point, Candice, I think comes when people truly accept and learn themselves. Then they could apply who they have learned themselves to be to other parts of relationships. That's why people say, don't get into anything until you're fully healed. Now, sometimes we don't necessarily know when we're fully healed, but I think that healing comes from the deliverance aspect. So if I had an XYZ problem and the problem no longer affects me when I'm around it, I'm healed. I'm delivered from it. If somebody says a name and I'm triggered, oh yeah, baby, you probably not healed from that. You probably got a little more work to do. But what you're not going to do is project that on me. What Tabitha Brown say, look, have a good day, but if you can't have a good day, don't go messing up nobody else's. But sometimes people don't do that, and they don't think about that perhaps, you could be having a bad day, or you could, because see, V, I think maybe you're kind of like me in the sense that I'm always like, dun, 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 and so people be like, oh yeah, she don't be hurt. But if I'm having something going on, people get really concerned because they're like, oh, something's really going on. Because
Right.
I'm not often that person. I make light of stuff. I think it's fun. Like, I'm a corny joke person. Like on ESPN, like I'm a big football person, but on ESPN the other day, the guy, he ends the show with a joke, and he was like, "What do you call a fish without eyes?" And baby, he talking about something. Listen, the way that I cried laughing at that, that is so stupid. But I think like that's who I
I was
am.
like, wait, what?
So he had to get in there, right, for a little while. But but that's who I am in that aspect. And I know that there's a meme or a reel on social media right now that just like, hey, I'm not for everybody, and that's fine. That's good. But
Yeah.
there has to be an admittance on the other side that maybe we don't mesh well, because people will try to make it work. You will try to make it work, and that's just not how it goes all the time. So I always consider what kind of friend I could be in the contribution space to another. And then sometimes there's a pill that we have to swallow about the other person, like this is them. We can't go to the side of they're probably having a bad day, or this is usually not them. No, no, you gotta eat that. That's
Yeah.
them. They're mean spirited. Get into it. And if you know that you've got your friend Sally who cries about mean spirited people, they don't need to be around Janice. That's not the one.
Right.
And if you know that today is not your day, you don't have to pick up the phone for the mean spirited person. You don't have to. It's not like that. But I categorize people like, oh, okay, when I have an event, she's probably not gonna come, but she's gonna say she's gonna come, but she's not gonna be there. So I don't even have to invite that particular person. You know what I'm saying? Oh yes, I'm definitely inviting Shenica because that's my dog, and I know she's gonna be in there. That's what I do. I have myself to avoid
It's awareness.
disappointment. Yeah, awareness and acceptance, and then making yourself be less disappointed and prone to hurt by accepting the people in categories of the friends you have around you. Candice, I love that you have a circle, who everybody knows who is doing what and could pick up on the energies and da 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 da. Everybody is not so fortunate, but I'm here to tell you one thing about it is once I do understand you, once I do learn you, I accept that you have the propensity of change, but for now, wherever you are, I will deal with that, and I will deal with it accordingly, and you will have to eat how I deal with it. I'm a phone person. I love being, I can talk, child, we can go, but some people are text people. I don't like text people like that. I'm not a texty person. I'm not that girl. I won't be able to do it with you like that. Some people will try to have big, big conversations via text. I can't.
Through text. You're like, are you gonna write me a novel? Like, this is out of control. Like, pick up the phone and call me.
Please.
Like, I'm calling you. I'm like,
but for some people, that's regular. So I can't. But I can't. When I have a big thing, I think Candice was just talking about. When I have a big issue, I'm not calling that person. Because we're not about to text about it. I gotta talk it out, and I gotta hear it from you. I need you to hear the inflections in my tone, and then we need to go from there. So I am very considerate of who is on the other side and where to include them in my life and which compartment to put them in, even in my brain, so that I don't experience disappointment, hurt, or pain, but I'm always experiencing joy because I understand what to expect.
Very true, Kay. Very true. As well. Kay is saying I guess we gotta, she said I think we need to, check out who we call friends. You can't just be calling everybody friend.
That is true. I use that word very loosely. I always have. My husband always tells me, like, you can get everyone your friends.
Yes.
But can I ask that, V? What's everybody's definition of friend?
Wow. Let's see. I mean, for me, I think that it reminds me of our first chat video we chatted and called. Yes, Like Kay, for instance, Kay is just popping up. She's talking about the first time we talked for hours on the video chat, like, because I can't remember. I think I was just like, okay, I like your energy. I would love to have you like on the show, blah, blah, blah. We actually met in Clubhouse and we just hit it off, and we talked for a long time. And I do like that, but I think that it's different for certain people. Some people are just, they're not comfortable, having long conversations. And sometimes it's an energy thing. Like they haven't come in contact with someone who really like brings that person out of them. And so it's like, okay. But yeah, no, I just wanted to touch on that. But as far as friendship for me, someone who I would call a friend, I do have different categories, right? But you have to learn that so that your feelings are not all butthurt. You're not taking things personal. A friend to me would be someone who actually knows me and sees me and accepts me for who I am, not who they want me to be. Because I have had friends that I was friends with for a long time, but they would just pick me apart. Like every time it was like there was something they wanted to tell me I needed to do differently. And it's so funny because I'm sure my little sister's listening and she's just like, that's you. And you'd be like, you need to work on that. That's like my favorite saying, like, you need to work on that because I don't really want to hurt your feelings and tell you exactly what you're looking like. So I'm like, maybe you need to work on that, And but this friend would actually be like, well, maybe you shouldn't be so nice because people are going to take advantage of you and this and that, like things that are actually like my character. She'll tell me to change, and I'm like, I don't think this is my friend, like,
especially if you think it's coming out of like for me, it's about your intention. Like if you have a bad intention, like there's people that my friends can sometimes get a little critical over things, but if I know it's coming from a good place, I try. No one likes to be criticized, but you can kind of take it like, okay, you mean well. But if you know someone's just nitpicking because out of their insecurity, or they just want to pull you down because you're happy, there's a difference.
And I don't think in those situations that's what it is. I think that some people feel like when they're older than you, or maybe they get a little bit out of shape when they see different things transpire or their own experiences, like I was taken advantage of for being like this, so don't do it, and it's just like, honey, we're living two different lifestyles, like you can share your experience with me, but I am not going to change that. I cannot change that. Like that is what gets me through. Sometimes it's just being positive or being oblivious to certain things. Like it's what gets me through. I'm like, like I'm choosing to be happy about it, but to nitpick, it's like, well, at the end of this thing, who would I be? If you're done, if I listen to everything that you say and conform, be a transformer for you, who will I be at the end of it? I wouldn't be myself, And so sometimes we kind of take that and then don't say anything. And then later we blow up or we just feel a way about that friend. It's just like, they have no idea. They're just being overbearing, And so for me, a friend would be someone who you have them for different things. Like you said, sometimes you got the friend that like you can cry with them, or that they're gonna tell a bunch of jokes or whatever, and you're gonna have like your mind is just off of whatever was bothering you. And then you have your friend that is gonna be negative, but in other conversations, maybe they're really funny, right? And so you're just like, okay, well, like that's gonna be my friend that I call like when I just really want to laugh and just act a fool with, right? And so all those different things is if you accept me for me, that's what I need, as a person who actually tries, to love me in the way that I need to be loved, because they ask questions, they get to know me, they know me. And when you know me and then you don't do those things, I'm just like, oh, well, you don't want to be here because you already know how I get down, and I feel like I consider people. And if I'm not, then just tell me, but don't get no attitude. Don't get no attitude. Just tell me like, I didn't like this, and then I can fix it. But if you just get an attitude and got a funky attitude and saying, no, there's no problem, but you have an attitude, you might get some of that back. Like, or you might just get me being short. Like, okay, well, if you're going to be, if you're going to lie about it or not be upfront and be transparent, then maybe we don't need to talk, for a little bit, just give it a little break. And of course, I'm going to still love them, but it's just like, maybe you need your time, like speak to me, like have that relationship. And if you have questions or concerns, address me about it. So yeah, just a person who's real, they know, they try to love me the way that I receive love, and they accept me for who I am. Period. Like, I don't want a person that's in my life. I talk a lot. I want a person in my life who's like, you talk too much. And they always say, it's like, well, that's not going to change. So pick what you want to do, because it's not going to change anytime soon. Not in this lifetime. Maybe in the next one, so that's me. But anyone else, I guess, can answer, what's a friend to you? Just short definition of what a friend is to you.
No, we want to do a long definition.
Okay. I know we have other questions, so that's why I was like, oh, give a short definition. But whatever you feel like doing.
Did you want to go, Candice?
No. She covered it. I think you hit it right on the nose, Yvonne. V.
I was just gonna say, a friend, this life is not that long, right? And you need somebody to walk with you. And I feel like life can be a bit of a maze. I see it as an analogy for a maze, because it's ever winding and you're always changing and growing, and so you need someone to walk with you. I got stuff that I'm carrying. I'll unload some and I'll pick some up, and they've got their stuff. But like, do you want to walk together? Pretty much, and then we'll figure out how to handle each other's stuff. But I'm not gonna just like, I'll throw you away if you're like super toxic and it's a repetitive thing that we try to course correct. But if you've just got stuff, well, it's fine. I got stuff. We can walk together. We probably only have like 60 years or so. So let's just make it a good one. But yeah, not a lot of stuff that I require. Just like basic decency. That's it.
Yeah.
Decency, transparency. That's all.
No, that's good, Francis. I think I heard it was Oprah and a monk. Was it a monk or some kind of, I don't know, some guru? Well, he was talking about how sometimes the most powerful thing that you can say to someone is that I'm here with you. Like, I'm, basically I'm standing here with you. Like, I will sit with you. Like, I'm here, like present, because sometimes that's what you need. When you are going through stuff and you might not even want to talk about it, maybe you're so traumatized that you can't even get out the words of what's going on with you, but just knowing that someone is like, I'm here. If you need me to get on the ground with you and sit here in this corner, I'm going to do that. If you need me to pick you up, I'm going to do that. If you need to just vent, I'm going to listen. Those kind of things, just being present, being there, saying, I will sit right next to you, shoulder to shoulder. So yeah. So Queen or Candice, definition of friend.
I just think that a friend is a family you get to choose.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah, that's just it.
Okay. Candice said the same thing. Well, let's look at these comments a little bit and see. I just want to make sure there's no questions. If there was any questions, someone is there. Yeah. Okay. Wait, what? I'm so goofy. Wait, Candice, that you? I thought you said you threw something in here.
Oh, no. I have like a question like right now. It's like slightly off topic, but it's still on topic.
Okay.
Can we pivot for a second?
Sure.
Okay. How have your guys' relationships been with like just interactions with strangers, like Black women that are strangers? Do you find it easier to go to, like, say you're at the mall and you're like looking around, you're like, do I go to the Black girl? Do I go to the white girl? How has your guys' experience been? Like, do you feel more comfortable? Do you feel more awkward? Like, how would you, or are you not even conscious of it?
It's so easy for me to talk to strangers in general, but it's especially easier for me to talk to Black women strangers. I love it. I love it.
She's like, I love it. Hold on, really quick. I heard this quote. Let me read it. I heard this quote that no man is my friend, no man is my enemy. Every woman or man is a teacher or is my teacher. Thank you. That was my mama who said that.
You know, she's right. I feel like every lesson, every circumstance we go through is to cultivate.
In the Matrix.
Gone through life with different relationships because I know it helped me become who I am.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Yeah. So Francis, it's easier for you with just older Black women or just Black women in general.
Well, I don't know. I would say it's mixed because, like, if I'm at the mall or if I'm in my neighborhood or something, where I live, there's not very many Black people in general. So when we see each other, it's like, hey, you know. So
Francis is in Hawaii.
So yeah, like I'll see a Black woman at the mall and she's got on this cute like maxi dress, and I'm like, hey, you know, it's like, oh yeah, you look cute too, and I'm like, I love it.
You like my people.
Sometimes my husband will notice and be like, hey, they said hi. I'm like, that happens sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes I'll just, you know, but he's like, wow, that's so cool that like Black people do that. I'm like, don't Asians do that? Don't y'all do like a Asian hello or something?
Right.
But apparently it's just unique to us. I don't know.
Oh,
I think it is.
We do that unspoken thing too, like where we might not say something, but we like, you know, guys do the little nod, you know, what's up type thing, or I think with women we're kind of like, you know, like do one of those faces, you know, you might be far, we might mouth stuff like, ooh girl, love that skirt, you know, like whatever. And we just
the best is when something weird is happening and then you guys catch eyes and you're like, that is the best. I'm like, did you see that? We will like have a whole conversation just by like rapid eye movement. It's crazy.
Yes. Yeah.
That is true. That is true. Okay, so the next we're gonna move on because I know we're girlfriends, so we can do this. We can just be on here all night. It's like a clubhouse room lasting 3-4 hours, but we want to be mindful of everybody else's time as well. But so I mean, kind of just going into the next question is, what has been your experience? I think we talked a little bit about this, but what's been your experience? Have you felt like you were in competition with other, you know, Black women, or that they were in competition with you? So, Queen.
No, but what I have felt is that sometimes my stuff gets stolen. Yeah. Well, what I mean by that is a long time ago, I was putting out all this queendom stuff. And now I look up and everybody's got a queendom. Not that I wasn't trying to encourage you to have your queendom and do your thing, but it's like no honor where honor is due. And I'm not saying this for like the girl in Connecticut who made it happen. I'm saying it for the girl who was in Atlanta sitting in my class. You know?
Right.
I'm saying it for those type of people who just all of a sudden pop up with daisies from like the soil and the water that I gave. So I do see that happening sometimes, and there's really nothing you can do to prevent it unless you're going to do your trademarks, patents, or your poor man's copyright, if you will. Or my new thing that I do is notarize the things that I say, get it stamped on by a notary. And I also, that has taught me to kind of keep my mouth shut about my visions dreams and ideas. The Bible even tells us not to cast our pearls before swine. And I've said before that a lot of times we don't like to accept people or circumstances as swine. Excuse me, police officer. We don't like to accept people as swine, but your cousin could be swine. Okay, your sister could be swine. Your best friend could be swine. So we just have to be careful about how we roll with that. But a little rewind to Candice's question. Listen, I love to see the Black girls out and about. I make it a point if it's something I need to tell them, because sometimes I be like, oh, girl, yikes. But if you out here giving me what I need, you're giving everything, I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna give you all of the snaps and circles and everything you need. And sometimes I just may grab their arm and say, listen, let me tell you something. If nobody's telling you, you are giving it, okay? Forget everybody else in the room. All I see is you. Come on, heel, come on, leg, come on, Vaseline, come on, brown. I love it.
That love goes so far. I remember like like a year ago, my daughter was like just born. She was young, and I looked like crap, felt like crap, but I had a kimono on, so from a distance, I probably looked decent. So I was like in line. We were in line at Chick-fil-A, and I had to get out to like fix her car seat. So I get out of the car, and this Black lady behind us, and she's like, "You're so gorgeous. You look so good." I felt like complete crap that day. I got in the car and I literally started crying. And I told my husband, like, we're going to buy her food. I don't care what she's ordering. I don't care if she's ordering for like a whole classroom. Like, we're getting her food. So I brought her food. And then she's like, oh, thank you. But like that, like touched my heart, because you never know how a small little gesture, you never know what that person's
I just make it a point, and I do that because I've been in so many experiences where girls be looking at you from across the room with the up and downs, and I'm like, bro, what? I be like, come here. I don't be caring. Listen, one thing I'm not is afraid of people. Okay, I'm a host, so I'm very much so interactive and live and loud, and I'm not gonna let you just be in a funk. Like the other day, we were out at STK for one of my friend's birthday dinner, and across the table there was another birthday dinner occurring. All of a sudden, everybody got up and walked away from that table. Apparently, the table had a falling out where they had to go up the street, grab the birthday girl, it was a big drama. Meanwhile, we at the table like, ooh, girl, we doing all that. And then the birthday girl came and sat back down, and she was like, I'm fine, I'm all right. She was looking for people trying to come. She's like, ugh, leave me alone. So when they brought us the cake or something, they brought us, and it was all these flashing lights and all. I went to our table and I said, look, I don't know who y'all are, how y'all doing, but what you're not about to do is have a bad birthday. So come grab my hand, and whatever song the DJ was playing, I picked up my birthday girl who I was there with. I picked up her, and I said, let's go, birthday girl. She was like, she didn't pop jig. I said, oh girl, she didn't drop that, whatever. But your friends is trash, but I'm not about to let your whole day go to the garbage can. I'm a big birthday advocate because we all don't get one every year, okay? Yeah. So with that being said, I wasn't gonna let her. That's just me. That's just lying. I wasn't gonna let her.
Probably gonna remember that.
Funky day. Yeah, I'm just gonna pull you up. I am empowering.
I love that.
Like, it drips from me. I'm empowerment. I'm not one of those, they say all the mean girls do empowerment things. I'm not one of those people. I really want you to walk in what you know you are or what you don't yet know you are. Let me help you find it. If I gotta adjust your crown, allow me to do so. And let me put it back on and let me polish it off so you can kind of see it. Because people will discount folks just because they look a certain way, they got this going on. No, you're still awesome, you're still special, you're still amazing. Your knee might be ashy, but I got some lotion. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying to help the people out. I just want to big people up because I'm not so sure. I started crying up because I'm not so sure people have those particular cheerleaders. I'm not so sure that people have parents who could handle their greatness. I'm not so sure that they have people around them who are able to nurture what they were trying to birth. So I'm like, how can I help you? Like if I see something, I just don't stand idly by. I'm a part of the community. I don't care if it's a white girl, brown girl, orange girl, whoever you are. Let me tell you, you got queendom in you. Let me shake up the queendom so you can either sit on your throne or get up and rule your kingdom, however you need to do. But I'm not gonna let you just say, oh, I love your pants, they're so pretty. And I'm like, thanks. I don't do that.
Yeah.
Be like,
Right.
girl, I'm
And
about to
that's
start selling this thing on my car. And there have been moments where people have just looked so sad, downtrodden. Because look, we all going through the pandemic at the same time, right? We all
right.
getting people telling us, take the vaccine. You know, everybody's having the same thing going on. So there's been time where I have unpinned, you know, and been like, okay, here you go. You need a pin? Like, what's up? And they be like, I mean, like, yeah, girl, I get another
You
pen. But if this
you
don't
never
change
know
the
when it's
trajectory
needed.
of your month, let me help you out. So I'm just like that. I might be getting in people business, but I'm just like, no, we're not about to be just this sad and this downtrodden. There is a bright spot to every day, even if we're going through horror. You know, you can always wake up from the nightmare.
Right. No, 100%. And I just love that so much because we all are able to have those moments, those exciting moments where, we just compliment each other. We just, that's something Black women got that down. Like I think it was Amanda Seals had said that she was just like, Black women got complimented down to a science. Okay. To two words, you'd be like, okay, hair, okay, polka dots, like that's us. We love to gas you up, We're like, girl, you are killing that. Like, and why not? Why would not give that to you? It's just like when you was getting together, you was putting the curls in your new lace front, or whatever it is, or maybe you just got a new wash and flat iron, and you put on that outfit, it was just fitting you just right. The booty was popping, and even if you don't got that much booty, maybe it looked like you did, and you're just looking good. Like you put in effort to look like that. So why would I sit there and be like, I'm not going to give her a compliment. She might think she's just really killing it. It's like, it might have took everything. This might have been this woman's day off from her hollering
Exactly.
children.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like her hollering children, her husband, all that. She just needed a break. And she just wanted to feel beautiful that day. Like, tell that woman she is killing it, especially if that's what you see. It's like, yes.
And I do it to men too. I don't go too far with the men because the men automatically want to pick you up. But I be like,
Yeah.
but I'm just like, I'm going to tell like, look, whoever is your barber, they did it. They just wanted you to know it's very
Right.
crispy over here. You got it going on. And he's like,
Clean,
thanks,
brother.
man. That's it. I just wanted to, let me just tell you. Then you got to kind of fight off the ones that's hunchback of Notre Dame and still try to come at you. Don't try to come at me. I just was giving you a compliment. That's all. Because how many compliments do you really get to get? Who knows? So if I could be an addition, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's so true. And that's why I love this conversation because we're able to talk about the things that are like not so good and they come from somewhere, and then we have the things that are amazing and the things that just make you feel like oh, you're a natural encourager. I am a natural encourager. That's my purpose, it's to motivate and inspire because I truly believe that that's huge. Even when you think about little kids, right? Kids don't really a lot of times, I think parents think, oh, I got to spend all this money because I grew up this way, I was poor or whatever. My kids got to have all this stuff. But really, it's just the love that you give in the fact that you pay attention to them and say, baby, you want to do what? Where we starting? Like I believe in you. You know what I mean? And I think that is so important because there's a lot of things that we don't have, maybe you didn't, you weren't built a certain kind of way, right? Maybe you don't look a certain kind of way. Maybe your hair is not a certain kind of way that you wish you had your hair like that, but you have something about you that is unique. It's amazing. It's perfection. It's your thing. And we have to like shine the light on that because there's so much that you're not, but what are you like? What is your thing? Like, what is it that you bring, to the world, to humanity, how are you impacting them? Like, what is that thing? And to me, I think it's important, to be able to celebrate that and to tell you like, girl, you got it, like, don't nobody do this better than you. And we should. So I mean, that's just my opinion, on it. I think that's just it's very important to be able to see the good and the bad and the things that maybe are bad and we don't like or we're uncomfortable with. Let's talk about it. Let's tackle it so we can work through it and make it better, improve it. So what were you going to say, Candice? You had something to say?
I was just gonna add on to what you were saying I was gonna say that there's like a cultural shift. I feel like on one hand we have like a sisterhood of like us being more natural and us just loving ourselves just the way we are and being more empowering to one another. No more pitting women against each other. We're just like, okay, if you want to dress like that, that's good. If you want to be modest, that's good. If you want to wear your hair natural, that's fine. If you want to, we're kind of distancing ourselves from like the things that we kind of grew up with when we were younger. Mm-hmm. I feel like, and then on the other hand, we have like the other stuff that's always going to be there, that pushback. But I think for the most part, like there's a cultural shift of self-love and women like.
You cut out.
I don't know.
I was just saying.
So, V, you on mute.
Oh, okay. There we go. Did you have something, Queen? I was getting ready to ask.
I was just going to ask about the opposite end of the spectrum. Like, how does everybody deal with conflict with women? Not just Black women, but women in general.
I feel like that's so broad, Queen, though. Like when we talk about that, because our relationships with other Black women in our community, if we have issues with the women in our community, I feel like all women probably do, because we're women. There's a lot of moods and there's a lot of different, upbringings and things like that play a factor. But I mean, I can't really say my relationships with other ethnic groups, with other women. I feel like I have to compartmentalize, and they're just different. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Like some areas are better, than others, and some are worse, And so, me myself personally, I'm going to talk about conflict, like resolving conflict with Black women. For me, I look at it and I see that when I see an issue with another, Black woman, I know it's coming from somewhere. And because I know our culture and the different sides to it, and I'm still learning, obviously I don't know everything. I have a level of compassion, because typically I'm going to understand like, oh, this might be coming from this. And that took a lot of learning of coming up when I was young, because, I was one way and a Valley girl. I'm from California and grew up in the country. I was judged. I mean, I've been judged probably all my whole life, but, especially like, at home and school, like when you're younger coming up and they're like, oh, why are you so white? And I'm like, I'm not. I'm Black, why do you talk like that? Why do you smile so much? And I'm like, the Black girl's not smiling, like, I don't think that that's true. I mean, even though some people like to say that, but I don't think that that's true. You see tons of Black girls smiling and cracking up and cutting up, and things like that. And so, I've gotten a little of that. And when I was younger, I just was so confused, like, why, But as I got older and talked to, more women and heard about their experience, I'm like, oh, okay. So this is just projecting, it onto me. So if you have an open mind, and I try to be open-minded about it, because I'm always seeking a resolution. That's just me. You can approach it a little bit different. Conflict management. I think that I'm pretty good at it, unless I get too emotional. If it's something to do with maybe my little sister, I might get a little too emotional, because I'm just like, no, you better listen. You got to listen to me. I don't care. I don't want to hear what you're thinking about. I know it ain't right. Like I know that what I'm trying to tell you is best, And so sometimes then I have to check myself, like, you know what? She came to me with information. And if I act like a fool, she's not going to come to me, like that might prevent her from coming to me when there's something that's really important, And so conflict management is just making sure that not conflict management, but as far as how I deal with those issues with other women, it's like, okay, maybe I need to take a step back and make sure that person feels like they're being heard. Because if they don't, it's just going to keep getting ugly, And if we got strong personalities, it's just going to be like, rah, 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 and it's going to be a mess. And so, yeah, that's how I try and deal with it, is kind of maybe take a step back and not be I'm always going to be opinionated, but you know, people can call me on this, on my stuff and be like, well, you weren't, you know, doing X, Y, Z. And then I have to stop and say, was I not, you know? And if I wasn't, then I'm like, okay, let me back it on up, you know, and be accountable and own the fact that maybe, you know, I was doing too much over here. And then they're kind of like, oh, okay, all right. Now that I know that you can, you know, own it, now we can carry on and we can get some resolution. But if you can't, it's just going to be ugly. So, I mean, that's how I deal with it. Ladies?
Yeah. Well, depending on the culture, like, because there have been studies, like, depending on the culture, this is stereotypical, but generally we deal with things in terms of conflict much differently. Like, for African Americans, we tend to be more direct when it comes to conflict. Like, you'll just ask straight out. And so it really depends, because I've traveled a lot and I have friends all over, and it is still, making friends in the United States is still very difficult compared to other places that I've been. But when it comes to conflict, I'll just ask, like, hey, this is how I took what you said. Did you mean for me to take it that way? Because this is how I took it. And you can say, like, yeah, eat it, take it how you wanted to, you know, or you can say, oh my gosh, like, no, I didn't mean that at all. Like, where was your head at? Like, I totally didn't mean that. Sometimes communication is tricky with human beings, right? So you give someone that olive branch to say, like, I did not mean it that way, or this is how I wanted you to interpret it. And you usually find that people really do not want to hurt other people's feelings, generally. And if you have a friend that likes to stick it to you, then they're not really your friend, and that'll tell you a lot more, right? That's just, yeah. And I don't have those, because they get the block party real quick, and that's do that. But I do get opportunities to say, like, hey, let's work on this, because this is how I feel it, and I feel really stupid. Like, what's this about? And so usually it is a miscommunication. But if it's not, then you deal with it that way. But I won't not say anything. And I think that can really trigger someone who's not used to, maybe they're more passive aggressive. That's their style, that's their communication style. But I'm not aggressive in terms of like I don't have that kind of energy, but like, I will directly ask you. And some people just aren't used to being confronted in that way. And then you'll have to address that too. Like, if we can't directly communicate, then this isn't going to work, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's going to be different for different personalities and the level of commitment that you have, you know, to those relationships. I'm assuming as well. But Candice, how do you manage your conflict with other women?
You know, what's been working for me is just distance. Like, I just distance myself. Like, I feel like that says everything I need to say, when I just drift away and I just let it marinate in your head as to what happened. Honestly, I don't have the energy to directly say anything, because I feel like people know exactly what they did, you know? So I don't know if that's the best way to handle it. It probably isn't. But for me right now in my life, I don't have the capacity to call people out when they do something shady. I'll just say my piece and keep it moving. Like, you know, like a little tiny piece, so you know where I'm at, and then I'm going to distance myself.
Right. Well, sometimes less is more, right? You know, and you have other priorities. I mean, you have two small little.
Yeah, I think it's more about my lifestyle.
They need your energy, you know, and it's like at certain points, you just have to just be like, listen, not feeling that, you know, not for sure what's going on. You can talk to me about it or not, you know. I'm going to leave the ball in your court, because I don't have time for the guessing game, you know, or, you know, that kind of situation. So,
and again, I go off of energy. So if I know your energy is off and you meant you're just doing something kind of shady or weird, like even if we're family, even if like you're gonna be in my life, I will just distance myself from you. You know,
Okay. Taking breaks.
Yeah.
Okay. Queen, did you have something to add? I was going to go into our next, questions. Get into that. Can you hear us? Queen?
Is she frozen?
Oh, she started breaking.
Can you hear us, Queen?
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, it was just a little lag time.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it was a little lag.
Okay.
Yeah, mine is really quick. I just turned a new age in August, and this is gonna be bad to say, darn, but I'm gonna say it. I've been having a very hard time responding to stupidity.
Oh.
Sorry. So I kind of don't.
Yeah.
I used to. Yeah,
I think
I'm
the older
logical.
you get,
Yeah, I know for
you're like,
sure. The older you get, it's like, girl.
you're
But
like, I'm not with the bull.
I'm
Like,
very logical. So when people aren't making an effort to think logically, I can't. Yes, Black Marvel. I'm allergic to stupidity. I cannot. I just feel like some stuff is dumb, and I think in school we were taught that there's no stupid question or all that kind of stuff. Yeah, sometimes it's stupid. Sometimes it's really dumb, and I can't avail myself to the dumb stuff. And I have never been this person before. I'll just say I'm 36, so this 36-year-old me is like some people, like if for example, the example I gave earlier, if I'm saying I'm not a texter, I'm a person that needs to be called when there's a serious situation, and you're still texting me, I'm not going to respond to you anymore via text. I'm just not.
right.
And then if we can't get to a logical space, if me and Francis have an issue, and I'm saying, okay, Francis, what's your problem? And Francis cannot articulate to me what the problem is. It's just, I don't know. I just feel you don't
Like,
know what the problem is. You just want to be in conflict with me? No, that's not gonna work. So I think that I'm such a talker outer, and I like to get to the bottom of it. Like, what is it really? Oh, okay, somebody ran over your toe in 1992. That's what it really is. Thank you so much. Otherwise, I just can't do it. So I think I'm just very much so, if it's stupid, I don't have anything for it. If we can't get to it logically as adults, I don't think I have anything for it. I'm just not in that space to harm myself anymore.
Yeah. I think the
Really
tolerance.
profound.
I think the tolerance, as you get older, it goes down. You're like, I
Yeah.
can't. I cannot.
I didn't expect it to happen so soon. Like I didn't expect. Like the day I turned 36, I was like, what? I couldn't. My brain just was like, girl, I can, because it's just too much other stuff major going on the earth for whatever your petty moment or your small thing is, where you can't articulate it to me as another woman. It's just weird. Like, why can't you say what's happening? Or maybe, as Candice said, maybe you should take some distance and then come back to me when you feel like you understand why you're so mad with me. You on mute, Candice.
Yeah.
Say it's not like you hate them or want them fully out of your life, but you just need to kind of break away from that for a little bit and then restart. I feel like that's been working for me. Like, that was weird. I'm gonna give it some space so I can get over it,
Right.
and we'll circle back when I forget about it. You just say it to me.
Bye.
Yeah, no, so true. Relationships, they can be a lot, to navigate, but I think that, we gain more tools to be able to do it and see what works for us. Like what works for me, does that work for you? And then we just get through it. I think when you're young, you're kind of like just thrown into it. You have all these different relationships, you want to fit in, or, you want people to feel comfortable. You want all these different things, and you're not really being fully in those relationships or learning what works. I distance myself when people are emotionally draining. That is good. That's what you have to do. But Kay's all about the, protecting the energy and the intuitive. And so she's picking this stuff up anyway. So I'm sure it's easier, for us intuitives, who are empathic, who can feel that stuff. You're like, something ain't right.
Yeah, and the fixers, because I'm a fixer. So
And the
fixers be like,
we're the same.
where's the solution? Oh, you don't have one? Well, have a great day.
Right. It's like, well, I'm gonna help you come up with it. I'm like, you don't got one, I got one, but it's just like if we're talking this thing out long enough, and I'm just like, oh, you want to be mad. That's what it is. Like, I get it now. You want to be stanky, So I'm gonna let you go ahead and have that. Be stanky over there. But you ain't about to stank all this up. Like, no, I don't want that. I don't want that energy. So if you refuse to work on it and for us to be able to work through this, then I'm just gonna give you a break. Like, that's right. Very solution oriented. Like, how are we gonna fix this before the night's over? That's how I am. Like, I don't want to be thinking about this tomorrow. Like, how are we gonna fix it?
And if you don't want to, it's okay. I found myself getting a lot less hurt than I used to. Once you love somebody, they have the propensity to hurt you. And I know that's kind of a dark way to look at it, but it's you're letting somebody into your love center. And because you're doing that, you're creating a vulnerability around yourself, and you're allowing a net to be rent or taken away so that person can come into your personal moment. But if I have to put the veil back up, if I got to build that wall back up around you, man, that's a lot of effort. I got to go find the mortar and the shovels and all kind of stuff. And that's really a lot for me. So if it's up there, it may be up there, for a while until you figure out who you are. So I'm definitely that person. But I just love this topic because I know some people don't talk about if we were to, because I think some people look at people like, oh man, how we never gonna get into it? That's my girl. We never gonna. But you don't.
As soon as you say that, as soon as you say that, you be like, oh, this heifer, she done went that whole event and didn't even call me, didn't even message me, no nothing. Like, what's going on here? That type of stuff. But okay, so going into the next one, I know we're running long, but wanted to ask this one other question. I think I'm going to jump around. So ask yourself, who do your friends remind you of, or the women that are in your life that you select to be in your life? I didn't know who was having it for. The people that are in your life, the women that are in your life, like, who do they remind you of? Candice, go ahead.
I have one friend who truly reminds me of my mom because she's just so motherly. She cooks well. She's so good with my kids. So I definitely feel like God just like put her in my life because I don't have my mom. And so she's just like been this like mother figure in a way, sister, but also like grandma to my kids. She's not old, but she's the auntie, so I definitely feel like I feel at home with her. I kind of take advantage of her. I get lazy around her, like how we do with our moms, just let her plan everything. I just obey everything she says, and it's wonderful. It's like, oh, okay, you're here. I can relax. So yeah.
Cool. Queen, I'm gonna let Francis take the last because we had some interesting stuff to talk about there. But go ahead, Queen.
I don't know that I have anybody that anyone reminds me of, but I'm happy that I could call the people that are currently in my life. I could call because I'm not a 5-minute conversation person. I always get on the phone and say, I just need like 8 minutes of your time, and then we look up and it's 4 hours. I'm like, oh girl, I'm so sorry. Go ahead back to your husband. My bad. We be talking. So I think that they're good sounding boards. Everybody who's around me currently, V, I think you were speaking about it earlier, accepting someone for who they are. So I have a lot of, and not a lot, I don't want to say that I have all this big, lots of people, but I have a lot of people that make adjustments to deal with a conversationalist, because I am one, so they make adjustments to be able to do so. Especially like the guys in my life, they'll have back and forth rapport, and some of them have adjusted from being just text people because they know I'm not that person, and if you want a relationship with me, it's gonna have to you're gonna either meet up with me, come on over, or we're gonna have to have a phone conversation. So those people just remind me of good, genuine spirits that I'm happy to have around. I think I've been doing a good job of weeding out the bad seeds. I might have like 2 left, but other than that, I think I got a good group. But I'm not on the no new friends movement. I will take new friends. I like people.
Yeah, we got to get you got to get a best friend. So of course, stay
Yes,
open.
like I don't know where they are, but I mean, I would love that person, because sometimes, like when it's 2 a.m. or something like that, I just go on and say, look, let me tell you what happened, or what do you think about this? And so some people would let me do that, but they'd be like, can I call you right back? So I wish I had a bestie who, I could also, and I see Kay talking about spirituality. Yes, and those people who I could pray with and be like, because I talk to the Lord a little differently, so those people I could do all that with, that's just cool to me. They feel like, I think Candice, you kind of hit it on the nose, like they feel like home, and I'm really excited to have people around me that feel like home.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, what Kay said, that's nice, Kay. That probably you might take advantage a little, like Candice. She said that I have a friend that's like a spiritual guide. She's like, and she gives good spiritual advice. Girl, you'd be like, that's the one you got to call all the time. You might wear them out. Like, I'm sorry, I'm calling you again.
Yeah.
but this is what's going on with me. What do you think? Can you help? Can you fix it? Like, what should I do? So, but that's dope. But yeah, I think that my friends, and I think to I mean, what also this might be determined by is where you fall in your family. If you have a big family, bunch of sisters, brothers, whatever. For me, it's quite a few of us. But as far as who grew up together, it's 5, and then 6 altogether. But for me, some of my friendships remind me of like a mother figure. Like I have a couple of friends, not many. I think I kind of have some high standards with that, but I have a few that are like mom sisters, like they remind me like either of my mom or their mothery, or just different aspects like of mom. And then I have some that are like the big sister, we have very strong personalities as far as my siblings and the women in the family, very strong personalities with my sisters. And so I have some friends that remind me, of them. And then my little sister, and then I have like some friends that are younger than me, and I'm like their mother sister, And so, yeah, thought it was interesting. But Francis, I want you to, to kind of go into what we were talking about, because you actually shared some stuff with me that I was like, oh, I didn't really think about that. Like, does it come from when you're selecting these friends? Are you thinking about like interactions or certain areas that you're missing something from your mother or a sister, or you never had sisters, so then you kind of like link up with women because you're just like, I never had a sister growing up, and when you have something that kind of reminds you of that, then you kind of like attach yourself to it. So what's your perspective on that, as far as when you're selecting your friends or the women that are in your circle, like, do they remind you of someone?
Yeah.
Or women even
So for my friends, they all kind of remind me of each other. But that's because the blueprint for friendships that I learned when I was in high school, I had this best friend who was my next door neighbor. Her name was Dorothy. She was, I think, in her late 60s or early 70s. Just
Uh-oh. Oh no.
Well, she was just getting into it.
I know. I know.
decided to drop me all of a sudden. All right,
That
I won't
good stuff.
say anything bad, Spirit. But no, she was just like this beautiful soul who always poured into me. I was in high school. I was struggling. I grew up with a lot of spiritual bypassing and spiritual and emotional abuse, right? So she was kind of that gypsy spirit who would just accept you as who you were. She knew that I was growing into myself. I think I was like 14, 15 when I met her. And all of my closest friends since then have always been deeply rooted in their beliefs, whatever they are, just deeply rooted and allowing me to just be myself, and loving me just through my growth process, or if I'm stuck, that's important. And so I think in terms of maybe how we pick our friends or what we model our relationships after, sometimes it's from a great place of your experience and like, wow, I grew up with a lot of brothers and sisters and it was great, and I want friends who are very like social and all that stuff. Or you have friends that give you a part that you were missing about your childhood, but a lot of the times it stems back to your childhood. And so with any of my relationships, whether it be platonic or romantic, now that I'm married, I always look at the root cause of what's going on. So because we don't really grow out of our child self, we just bring them with us. And so if there is a conflict, sometimes it's not this broad thing that you have to try to unpack and solve. Sometimes it's just they're hungry, they're tired, bad day, just like a child would. And you have to soothe that part of your relationships with your friends. And so when I talk to my friends, I'm like, hey, have you eaten today? Like, how are you?
That's a good question.
Anything? Like, I am that person. I love sending my friends stuff. I love checking in. Even if it's too much, I don't care. You should check in with me person. So yeah, I've tried to be that friend who I think that I needed, but my friends are also those girls that I feel like if I was in a forest somewhere and I needed to start a tribe, they'd be my tribe, you know, like we'd find each other somehow.
Yeah, definitely. And I know you had said that we track that back to our first friend, which is our mom. Didn't you say something like that? I think when we were
yeah. So mothers tend to be generally they tend to be the ones to program their child's inner voice. A lot of the time, if for unforeseen circumstances you have another guardian that does it or a father, but typically it's the mother. You do that when the child is in the womb. They can hear you. And they hear whatever you speak over them, intentionally or unintentionally. And that follows them throughout their life. And it is extremely hard to break if you were saying something that was not good on your child's spirit. It takes a lot of growth and therapy and help. But generally, if you had a supportive mother who spoke kindness over you, when you're going through something and you hear that voice in your head saying, hey, great job, that's your mom, right? And depending on your experience, if you have that voice that's, you made another mistake, you're so stupid, how could you do that? Your life is going to be, that's probably your mom. Or some other voice that was really close to you.
Yeah, no, it does definitely shape. I always believe that. I believe that I always say that, you know, fathers, they provide that structure and that foundation, and basically to teach you to be about your business and be on your, you know, about your word, and to be able to identify those that are not. But your mom, she really shapes the heart of you and what kind of heart you're going to have and what type of person you're going to be. And I noticed, you know, in my experiences when people have, you know, good relationships with their mom, like women, when they have good relationships with their mom, they're able to, be a friend, to other women. But there's still the others that are out there that do not, when they have bad relationships with their moms, or their moms have made them feel like unloved or just abandoned them, they do struggle with having relationships, good relationships, or being, fully open, to healthy friendships and relationships with other women because of that. And so that is something to look at, because I do believe that it bleeds over into our other relationships. And that's was one of the other, questions with that, which was about who influences us. Is it your girlfriends? Because some people, when they are very close, with their mother, or their sisters or whatever, they tend to listen to them more, and you may be thinking one thing, but you get on the phone with them 45 minutes later, you're doing something totally different. And you're like, I kind of wanted to do this other thing, but you just still hear them in your head. Like you're saying, right? Like you still hear them in your head and you're like, okay, it swayed me a little bit. And so, yeah, so I kind of just wanted to briefly, I guess, talk about that, and what do you guys think as far as about the relationships with your partner or with a man? Do you think that your relationships with other women, if you have good relationships or you can't have good relationships with other women, do you believe that it impacts your intimate relationships, with a man, as far as building a partners, your relationship with them
Queen's
overall?
face.
Go ahead.
No, forget her. Forget her. She don't have nothing to do with what we doing. But what I do think is healthy relationship skills have a lot to do with it. That's why women sometimes have the rewind factor, like the guy who was, doing you dusty, going back to him because some other guy was doing you dustier. So, you go with the less dusty guy. Sometimes people go back to that, and neither of those things are healthy. So it's just about accepting the health that is you. How healthy do you want to be, and what can you withstand within the scope of your self control for what you really want at the height of your worth is what it really boils down to. Ladies can't orchestrate that because look, sometimes now the ladies be haters. I've gotten told by wisdom filled older women that you don't discuss the bedroom items or the good, wonderful, beautiful kind of things that you and your mate might experience because that lady might begin to covet what you have. And I've experienced the girl, behind your back, like, well, you look so good, and I'm like, girl, I will smack you. Yeah, I ain't talking about. And even in the relationship, the 12-year relationship I told you about with the other young lady who I thought was my best friend, they had a plan to meet up. They was about to get together and do it. And I was like, hey, okay. But I had shared with her, I didn't have another outlet like that. I had shared with her some very intimate things. I didn't know that you don't, that was my first real, like, oh, I'm madly, deeply in love. Somebody proposed to me. We getting engaged, about to get married situation. So I didn't know that that's not where you share per se, like your relationship should be between you and your partner. Now you do need an outlet system,
Yeah.
but maybe it's with another couple and not necessarily just a young lady who is also single or whatever. So I'm just in a big belief system that you got to do the partnership work. But before you do the partnership work, exclusive of other people with their chiming in, you have to work on you and find out your health level so that the hospital is not another young lady.
Got it. Candice, what about you? What do you think about this particular
Um,
question?
You said whether or not like the influences of women, your girlfriends over your spouse or the person you're with.
Yeah, well, basically, just in those relationships, well, it's kind of the question that I sent you all, but really just tapping into like, do you think that those relationships that you have with your friends, with or your relationships with other women affect, your relationship with your either spouse or your partner? I mean, we know it
No,
kind of does, but some people it doesn't for them because they they don't let anybody
no,
else.
it's two completely separate.
For you.
Yeah, not at all.
So as far as, well, yeah, I mean, I guess it would just be different for different folks. You may have those friends that you listen to. Queen Ezra. But you may listen to your girlfriends, about, because there's some people who are like that, right? Who they listen to their girlfriends like, girl, like let's say you're having a problem and you were sharing it, but for you don't share. That's what you were saying earlier, right?
Bad or good? What
And
am I?
as far as your relationship stuff, like if something is going on and you got a girlfriend that might be like, girl, well, maybe you just need to take a break from him, or maybe you guys need to go get counseling, or maybe, or maybe they might say, because you have some friends that'll be like, girl, if that man, because they don't have a man, and they might be like, girl, if that man ain't hitting you upside your head, he's coming home paying the bills, you better get over it. Don't know, happiness is relative.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't really listen to anyone's advice.
Okay. Because you know that goes on, because you're that friend, I'm sure, for your other friends who tell you
I'm
about their
Yeah, I'm definitely the
problems.
therapist out of my friends, but when my friends do try to help, it's sometimes for me, I just need someone to like hear me out when I'm going through any type of
Like,
emotional distress. It's not that I need any advice because I think we all kind of know what to do, right? Like we all know, we all have our own guiding light within us. So sometimes I think for the most part, I look at like their life like, okay, well, you're not equipped to even give me advice on this matter because,
but I'm telling
you
you,
know,
anyway.
it depends on what the circumstances. Like I like using my friends, like as far as advice, like decorating or what goes with that. Like that's what I have my friends for. Like as far as like advice, but like for them to give me like marital advice, like not any friends in my life could give me that.
Right. Kay's crazy. She said, I'm the leave him type of friend. Don't listen to me. I'm single. Right. Well, sometimes you are like, no,
And
girl.
even I'm giving someone advice, I never tell them what to do. I'm really good at playing devil's advocate. I'm gonna lay it
Yeah.
all out there for you very
Right.
clearly and let you come to your own resolution. Just tell them to lean into prayer and rely on God and you'll get your answer. So that's kind of like my advice.
That's a good therapist, girl. You should start charging.
I, yeah.
And so, oh my gosh, that's just so funny. I think we
I
covered
want to
it.
chime in real quick to say one more thing though about friends and relationships. I always, on the other end, I always ask young ladies to please tell me the good stuff too, along with the bad, because sometimes when you get some mad day, you just telling me all the bad stuff, but then y'all go and, gallop off into the sunset on horseback. And I'm looking at you like, girl, I thought you said he was this, that, and the third.
Exactly.
But y'all are having this wonderful moment in time. So please tell me both sides. Tell me about the roses. Tell me about the jewelry. Tell me about the gas in your car. Tell me about how y'all prepping to have a baby. Tell me the good stuff. Don't just paint him like a certain way because I'm going to defend you.
Right.
So
And
I
that's what
always
we
implore
typically
this.
have.
Yeah.
We run into that, where it is a situation where you're just sharing these things that are bothering you or, complaining, and then you don't know the other side. And that happens with your family. And so your family is like side-eyeing him because they're just like, you sound like a villain to me from all the stuff that you shared. I don't know about those,
He's
beautiful
probably a
moments.
wonderful, man. She wouldn't be dealing with the person, but the
Right.
point is, I think a lot of times we vent to people, but don't say the good stuff. Partially because we're like, I don't want them to feel, whatever, because I'm in a relationship and they're not. But the other side is, I'd rather just vent to you because what should be happening is the relationship should be going good. So when the shouldn't happens, then I need your help, I need your advice or whatever. But I like to know the should, but I like to know the good stuff. Give me the goods, baby.
Right.
So I can, when you feel like he's this, that, and the third, I can remind you about the sunshine while you keep on just trying to tell me about the rain. I got to bring you this umbrella so you can remember that he all good in the hood. Yeah.
Get a break from that. And also just being able to reflect. Like I always like to tell my friends, like, well, there was a reason you married him, right? Like hate to go Tyler Perry on you, but maybe I should. It's like why did you, get married? Why did you choose that person? Or why did you accept, this person's offer? What was it like in the beginning? Do you still feel, amongst all the drama, like, do you still feel loved, and if that answer is no, that doesn't mean necessarily leave. It means, okay, we need to have a conversation and see what happened. Like, you know what I mean? Because relationships, they go up and down, and you're two different individuals coming from two different walks of life, trying to build with each other and navigate that. And that's going to be hard because when you think about your sisters or your brothers or family members, people that you've been around your whole life, they get on your nerves. They get on your nerves, and you had the same upbringing, so that just shows you that there's still going to be, differences and, disagreements. So, yeah, but that's how I feel about it. And I just think that this conversation tonight was just amazing because we do have to have these real conversations so we can be honest and be accountable, for ourselves. And then there's another level of accountability that you have to have when you're dealing with, other people. It's like, okay, I'm going to own this because, this was my part, that I played. And I'm going to hold you accountable, as well, because that's what you do when you rock with that person, you love that person. It's like, okay, well, we should do this, like, I'm not going to just give you good advice all the time or compliment you all the time. If there is something that you are bugging, I'm gonna be like, sis, you was bugging. That was you. I'm just gonna tell you because I love you, but you was wrong, and you need that, sometimes.
We should be open to it. We should definitely learn how to be more open to that type of accountability. I think that's like key in sustaining healthy relationships.
Yes. And that's what we want. That is the goal, is to improve those relationships, between each other and in our community, so we can continue to grow and really thrive. And I just thought this was an amazing conversation. And I hope that it was awakening, too, for some people who just kind of are in denial. Because sometimes we are in denial. We're just like, oh, life's good. And it's like, no, it ain't. Like, it's not, like, you're surrounded by snakes and don't even, not even aware, or you have really good people who are in your life who pour into you, and you might need to show more appreciation for them. Like, I have some amazing women in my life, and they're in different walks, of life, different parts of their journey. Some married, some single, some, with kids, some single moms, just all these different areas. And being able to speak with them and them being open and sharing, like, I get to learn so much, so when I get there, I'm like, okay, mine goes back to this moment, when I was having this conversation with my girlfriend who's been here, before. And so, yeah, but I say, Queen, be open. You're going to have a best friend soon. And I think it's just because you like you said, you have that serious, like, rested itch face, like, but once you start speaking, like, you just really pour into a person. It's like, to me, you give me that, like, that auntie vibe that they don't play no games, but they are going to be like, child, come here, get in here. Like, we're going to get you together, like, you are going to have the best time, just like you said about the birthday girl. I love that. Because some people would just sit around and just kind of talk about, like, did you see that? And I just love that you just kind of recover that for her, because she probably was already just going through it like, this is the worst birthday. Like this heifer just acted up and blah, 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 blah. And you said, we ain't gonna do that, you know? So you totally remind me of that. Is that like that auntie, you know, that woman that is spiritual too is gonna pour into you real quick and put some God in you real quick, you know, just pour a little anointing real quick and just be like, we are going to have a good time and be grateful, you know, because it's about you, you know. And I absolutely love that. I think we need more friends like that. You know, we need more friends, you know, who are going to keep it real honest with you and have boundaries like Miss Francis. Miss Francis, she's so intelligent. She's my best friend's little sister. And I always tell her, like, I'm like, I'm just so amazed, you know, because, you know, you're younger, but you have so much wisdom and you're so intelligent and you keep it real. You're like, I'm going to call you out,
Came
though.
a long way from the snotty nosed little kid who was bugging you to go everywhere.
Yeah. And
I
like,
go too.
yeah. And then Candice, you know, too, like for me and you, like our friendship, it's crazy because we just automatically, you know, just vibe. Like,
yeah.
And feel connection. It was just like, that's so weird, you know, like how did
we would go years without talking. And then as soon as we talk for like 5 hours on the phone.
Right. And pick right back up.
Yes.
and have our little the conversation that you gotta whisper. You'd be like, okay, wait. I have something to tell you, but like, let me get away from everybody else and tell you about this juicy, you know, whatever, you know, story or whatever. We just swap our stories and just have that kind of relationship where, you know, all of you are different, but bring something so special, you know, to you know, a sisterhood and are able to, you know, give me something that I feel like makes me a better person. I have different, you know, so many different things about each one of you that I admire and I think is just amazing. And it helps me too to be able to, you know, continue to grow and be a better woman, you know, or a better person overall. So I appreciate you ladies. And yes, definitely. And if you guys have social medias that you want to give out, some people might be trying to be your best friend, Queen, you know. So, you know, they might want to know what your contact information
applications.
And you know, all of you guys, because you guys are amazing. So, you know, they might be trying to get in on that. So please share your social media if you would like to. And Francis, you don't have anything though, huh? Do you have social media?
No.
No, that's right. She's like, call
Nothing.
me, text me, email me. Oh, thank you, Kay. I appreciate you. I love all of us, but like women, that's my purpose. I really believe that, you know, is just, you know, uplifting women because I feel like when we're healthy and whole, we're able to give so much, you know, like, and we're able to heal so much and really repair a lot of damage, you know, that, you know, we experience. And there's nothing better. It's like when that girlfriend or that stranger, this is some woman on the street, just pours into you really quick. You're just like, you know, right when you need it, it's nothing better than that. So, but Queen, what's your social media?
Oh, sure. On all social media platforms, I am Queen Acting, just like it says right there in the name. Tag, that's from Facebook to TikTok, that's me. I have a show coming out, Queen You've Got Mail, this week, Wednesday. We got Brad Giles. It's going to be so freaking great, and I always keep it 100 with the men, and the men never hold back on me. So you want to tune in to Instagram this Wednesday, 8:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
What is it again? What is it again? What's the name of it?
Queen You've Got Mail, MALE. And
Okay.
I talk to men about the things that we talk about as ladies, but we really should be asking men directly.
I love it.
And they always answer. They always answer.
They want us to know. They want us to know.
Yeah.
Definitely. And it's really good. They are very honest, and it's something for us to learn as women. Just hearing them be honest, and that is where we need to be, is be able to listen to each other so we can stop being clueless, or thinking we know and assuming. So thank you so much for that, Queen. And Candice, what is your social media, madam?
Candice Sheree, Chere. And it's my photography page, but I'm not so active on Instagram right now. But if you want to follow me on Clubhouse, that's where you can find me. And it's Candice Che, Che. So
yes. And also, check out the replays of Ask a Black Man. That's what we had before, and just before Ask a Black Woman, asking men questions and getting to the nitty gritty, and it was really helpful. So I think we need to do more of it. Like we should be having these open conversations because maybe you don't have someone you can ask, and so it's nice, to be able to get the answers to your questions, even if you don't have, someone around you that you're close to, male or female, to learn more about the opposite sex. So, well, anywho, this was an amazing show. And next episode, we have Ask a Black Mom. So very excited about that. You guys make sure to tune in. And if you have not already liked and subscribed, please do that. Leave a comment. We love to hear your feedback. Replays on Virtual First Date YouTube. So you can check that out here or check that out there. And please do like, subscribe, and share. Thank you, ladies, so much for.
Thank you, guys. Nice meeting the both of you guys. You guys are so beautiful.
It was lovely to share with you all.
And it was great.
Text me, Candice and Queen.
I will.
Call me if you want. I like calls.
I'll wait, you guys.
Queen's gonna call you.
Okay, yes. I like that.
Candice will text. That is.
I'll text you.
Or message you on Instagram. I'm like, Candice, like, it's your phone. Like, why do I get through to you quicker on Instagram?
I know. It's something in my brain. But anyway, it was so nice meeting you guys. And we'll do
Good
this
night.
again.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, that's what's up. Great show.